Hey everybody, this is Perch. One of the defenses people in comics have used for many, many years, and this is far from a new thing, even kind of the very earliest days of running a shop, I remember running into this, and it was the kind of deflection of criticism with well, you don't know the full facts. You don't know the full story, kind of excuse and defense. And this has been something that's consistently been used over the years. Again, I remember hearing this a lot in the 90s. A number of retailers, when they were expressing concern at what was going on with Capital City and Diamond, and when they were at least, offering the concept that perhaps Marvel was heading down a really bad place with Heroes World, and we'd go to cons and we'd have meetups, and the people within comics would say, "Well, you don't know the full. You don't have you don't have all the facts, so you don't really know what you're talking about." And I admit it's got to irritate me a lot over the years, because if you get told this over and over by people inside of comics, and then months later, exactly what you worried about and predicted happens, then those people have no credibility, but they keep using it. And they keep using it for a very, very simple reason. And it's the other thing that really kind of bugs me. It's that comics is treated more like a clubhouse in a lot of cases than a business. And where that is applied here is, when you look at other businesses, whether they're, insurance companies, software companies, I always use biotech. I don't know why I always go to biotech, but pharma, whatever the industry is, there is a sense of transparency around the business practices, not the IP itself, not the contracts, but at least the business practices. There is industry knowledge, but that industry knowledge, there's a desire to share that knowledge. When somebody comes in, or somebody is evaluating or looking to partner, or you're creating a developer community like Microsoft did all those years ago, there's a desire to get everybody on the same page and educate on the platform. Not tell everybody, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. This is our secret clubhouse. You don't know." But with comics, it's often that way. With comics, it exists as a, when you get the secret, to me, it's very juvenile. It's very, kid clubhouse type stuff. It's when you know the secret word and the secret handshake and the secret knock, and you get into the door, then you get to the special party with people who just know certain special bits of information about how comics actually works. The reality is, and I've heard this time and time again from people who come into comics, the comic business is not that complicated. It has a series of pretty definable, pretty easy to understand metrics. It operates like many businesses do, on a time and materials schedule basis. Get work by X date, get product to X spot, deliver, have business model. Like these are fundamentals that exist with almost every single business. In this instance, in the words of Tyler Durden, comics are not special. They are not a unique snowflake. They are a business like many other businesses. Now, what that business produces and the magic that it makes is beautiful and wonderful. You've heard me say in many videos how much I love comics, and me saying that, hey, the business fundamentals of comics are actually not that unique, pretty standard, doesn't take away from the fact that I love this business, and I love the output, and I love the mission of what people do. But and the mission being making comic books, not some weird, that's some weird other mission. I hate that, by the way, several years into this channel now, I find myself, my brain is automatically inserting little disclaimers now. I say things, I'm like, oh, this is going to be something people jump on and misunderstand. Well, Perch said, okay, good Christ. Anyway, comic books is pretty typical. But this argument, well, you don't know what you're talking about. It is a poison to a large extent. It hurts people's ability to come in and enact change, because in many cases, those statements are used for people who are suggesting that we do things differently. What's baffling about this is that you look from the outside and you see people who are getting less and less commitment within comics. They're asked to pitch things, but the response is, slower than ever in coming back. They have to really hustle to get any book through. It feels like the commitment on a title is minimal at best. And and page rates, people are getting squeezed further and further down. The business, those are by any estimate, those are unhealthy things. Yet, when somebody comes along and suggests, hey, maybe we should do things differently. Here's a what if instead of doing the business model this way, we did a different way? Then they're often met with this answer like, you don't really understand the business. You don't know what you're talking about. It's become a shield from both any criticism and any change. I can't tell you the amount of people in comics when other channels, other people criticize things. When they criticize things in comics, they're often met with well, that person doesn't really know what to talk about either. But the critique is often, certainly often over the top. But at other times is, pretty important information. I've mentioned this in other videos, but comics is one of these kind of rare businesses where the consumer of the product, people buying it, do two things that are unusual in industries. One, they keep buying it. Even when they're unhappy, they keep buying the product anyway. That's pretty crazy if you think about it. And two, they voice what's upsetting them very easily. Granted, sometimes too easily. But if you think about other industries where they have to pay for market research, they have to really dig to find out what customers actually think. Not with comics. The problem there is filtering out so much feedback to get to the actual, the things that are going to drive your business. Yet, despite that, this desire to have comics be a, strange little clubhouse continues. And by the way, it's not just the, the big two or the, quote unquote traditional comic industry. People leave it and they still say this. I don't remember if it was John Malin or Shane Davis, but one of the two like, Perch doesn't understand the business. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's weird when this stuff comes out. The thing that they were saying I didn't know I was talking about was page rates, which was the comedy of that was when they made those comments, I had recorded a video with Sean Murphy talking exactly about that topic. And he came on and said it out loud. And then it was hard to say, well, Sean doesn't understand the business. It was hard to do that. But with me, sure, why not? I mean, there's some YouTuber running his mouth, and I get that. But I guess my point is that's one of the most aggravating, one of the most meaningless bits of criticism that comes out. And it doesn't help anything. This person doesn't know what they're talking about. I mean, look, at this point in 2023, with all the changes that have happened, with the things that are going on with the distribution, with how the complete, absolute failure of digital. By the way, one of the places where I've been told, and every now and then a creator, somebody within the comics business, somebody in the management level writes in, and they go, well, something you don't understand is you talk about how we should have a digital strategy for our comic books. Well, what you don't understand is that we tried, and the customers didn't want it. So that's what you don't understand. We tried, and the customers didn't want it. It's like that. No, I understand that just fine. I understand that you tried something stupid. You didn't follow through on it. You didn't take examples from other industries that were successful to actually try and leverage it to make yours, a reality. And I do fully get that it fell on its face and it didn't work. We all get that. So I think I understand just fine. You trying something and it failing that's not a lack of understanding in the business. You get that. So every now and then I'll say, hey, a comic company should work with this creator or that creator. And, people write in going, hey, it's not our fault. We would like to work with those creators too. They just don't want to work for us. I'm like, yeah, okay. Again, that doesn't change my understanding of the business. It doesn't change anybody's understanding of the business. I think you need to be asking yourself why. Is it pay? Is it schedule? Why? And this came up famously like more than a year ago when I was making a lot of videos about Walt Simonson, and it was like 2 years ago. and how this guy's an incredible talent and, really, really incredible. And editors at the time were saying, he's kind of old. People don't really get his style, which they absolutely were. People forget that some of these statements were made in public, both by editors and creators. Gleb, whatever, what it says, this stupid, Gleb, Halloween Man, Malnikoff, whatever. He would go off on, how John Byrne was a dated style and it would never sell anymore, to be fired if anybody, a CEO of Halloween, that's what he had. That, it would never work if he was ever, if he ever drew like John Byrne, he'd be instantly fired because the style's so dated and shitty. And, if you go to the likes, the people who are chiming in and responding, lots of editors, as it turns out, lots of people who were making the decisions. We're all in on that tweet. So don't tell me that, no, we don't think that way, because they do. But regardless, when I'm told like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, we'd be happy to work with Walt Simonson. He's not taking work right now. And then 2 months later, Simonson has a series coming out called Ragnarok. Like, at some point, you have to go, okay, fuck off. Stop using this as an excuse. This person doesn't know what they're talking about. It's embedded in the DNA of comics at this point. So I said, people who even left comics continue to use this as a shield. It's not. Look, a lot of people, particularly anyone who's paid any kind of attention or worked in any kind of job, has a decent sense of what's going on. So I said before, comics is not that unique a business. Now the output is how people, design and develop and craft these stories, and the memories that come out of them are brilliant. But the mechanics of how this stuff works, don't sit here and tell me that your implementation of SAP is different. I'm in this thread. What kind of sparked this is a company, and I won't say who, but it's Marvel. They are late on some payments. So the couple of creators are having to chase them to get payments, which is not a great sign. And, I was poking at this, and I got a comment back from somebody at Marvel going, oh, what we're talking about. We're very short-staffed. And so, the payment, we're short-staffed. And that's, so we're not able to get some of the things done we want to get done. We're short-staffed, basically. We've had some cuts. And, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, you're still paying people via SAP and your payroll system. So fuck all the way off with your, what do you expect me to believe? That, there's a giant room somewhere in Marvel Studios where there's a bunch of desks and accountants and ties, and they're sitting there handwriting checks, and there's a giant ass ledger. Somebody has to dip their pen into a bottle of ink to record the latest transaction. Like, no, that is not how it works. It's not how software works. Not how any of this stuff works. So just stop with that stuff. Anyway, people know what they're talking about just fine. There you go. Thanks for listening.